Yes, we're talking about, switching gears from politics now to health. We're all aware of the effect that the new coronavirus has had on the health of people around the world, how relationships is also affecting relationships and how, greetings are evolving, but also largely on the economy of the world. We're talking about trillions. The United Nations is estimating that we could be losing trillions of dollars. The world economy could be losing trillions of dollars as a result of this new coronavirus, now called COVID-19. But here in Nigeria, it seems that we have a ray of hope as we're now being told that perhaps a cure could be in the offing. And it's from no other than Professor Maurice Iwu, who is the CEO of Bioresources Institute of Nigeria. You're welcome, Prof.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, I only just read that you're a professor of pharmacognosy. Is that correct?
Yes, it's correct.
And a lot of people would be wondering, he used to be chairman of INEC. Where is this coming from? They obviously do not remember that you had a professional background before you went to INEC. But tell us about this possible cure for coronavirus. It's not been confirmed as a cure yet.
No, not at all.
But it looks like it could have potential for the virus. Is that correct?
Yes, I'm glad that you used the word potential because there's no cure yet. Sometime very back in 2014, 2015, when we were screening product for Ebola virus, we decided to actually test all the viruses that were emerging at the time. Coronavirus is not really new. This is a new strain. We have what they call SARS coronavirus, MERS coronavirus. SARS means severe acute respiratory syndrome. The SARS coronavirus actually is the more deadly one. And then there's one that's called MERS, which is Middle East respiratory syndrome, which actually happens mainly in the Middle East, as that name connotes. So when we did screen, we were surprised that we had a compound that actually showed positive action against the coronavirus at that time. We went ahead because it was novel. We patented it. So we were issued a patent, and it was on the basis of that patent that we were developing the product. Then we also encouraged that the compound we found is a compound that has been well studied. The pharmacokinetics, that is the way it is distributed in the body, is well known. The safety profile is well known. So what we did then, as soon as the coronavirus broke out, was to notify the relevant bodies. We wrote to the Chinese, actually. We wrote to our own governments. We actually contacted our partners in the US to say that let us now test this compound against this new virus. And we had very encouraging contacts. People were really very excited that this was what was going on. So, but there is also a segment of what has happened, namely the fact that this is only the tip of the iceberg. We live in a tropical country. There is bound to be more and more viruses on the way. There's bound to be more and more diseases that affect our people. So our group decided that it was necessary that we allow the government. That time it had not reached here at all. So we wrote to the Minister of Science and Technology and also to the Minister of Health, telling them that this is the time for us to start taking proactive measures, that we have a compound that's a potential cure. Not that it is a cure, because we have to go through the whole gamut of what we needed to test. But luckily for us, our group is actually a network scattered in various countries. We try to look at diseases that affect the poor, diseases that don't have any cure, and what we call neglected tropical diseases. And that's what gives us hope. We just actually have other products that we are testing against other diseases that are not popular, that people don't know about. So it just happened that coronavirus, this particular strain, is so virulent and it's affecting a lot of people. And in fact, as you rightly pointed out, it's affecting the economy of so many countries, and including ours. And that is why we think that the approach has to be a proactive one. Since we have a compound, we have the capacity and capability to isolate it and then bring it out in larger quantities. Even our friends outside the country, when we told them the structure of the compound, they were amazed, and that people started thinking about how to synthesize rather than coming from the plant. And there is also a law, which is called the Kyoto Protocol, which requires us to notify the country where we got the natural product from because of intellectual property right issues. So that's what we are doing.
So what country was that?
Nigeria, yes. Nigeria.
Oh, good. So
So, so yeah, and also when the law was being made, there was one what we call Article 8J of the Convention of Biological Diversity. I chaired the process, so it would really be funny if the person who chaired it then I would be the one to really break that law. So what I then did was notify the government to say that this is a product that we're looking at, and that this, and then you had actually given us a patent. The patents are usually issued by the government themselves. So the government had issued us 3 patents. And those 3 patents, 2 of the compounds in those 2 patents had activity against coronavirus, but one was so remarkably active in microgram levels that we were really encouraged, and that was what we sent out to people who want to test. And as I say, it is like tennis. Other people are also responding. We have people who I just got some sample yesterday from this Mumbai in India. Some people, they have synthesized their compound, want us to test whether the compound they have synthesized is the same thing as what we have in the laboratory.
Interesting. So this definitely is getting international acclaim and international attention. Yes. And from what I gather, from what we see, it looks like the Nigerian government is also very interested in supporting the research. Is that correct?
They're interested in the research. I don't know about supporting about supporting the research.
They're interested, but they're not supporting.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Yes. Not
okay.
Yet.
So it's been verbal so far.
Not really been verbal. We've done the needful. Is the reaction that follows, and then, for example, there are research centers that Nigeria owns. The government. We're not even saying that you should give us money. You can actually ask for those compounds so that those government-owned laboratories can take it off from there. Science is like tennis. You play it out, and then you really wait for somebody to play it back. So we're actually hoping. And if you look at our listening. Our comment to the minister, we said that we are willing to give the compound to whoever has the facility that want to test, who also want to develop it beyond that. And luckily for us, so drug development is not a chance game. We know what to do at every stage. So we'll then be able to pass it from this primary stage to the end game. And these things cost millions and millions of naira. And so what we are hoping for is that we will have a collaborative project with everybody coming up, because the issues here is really serious. And if we have a mechanism of testing compounds and getting them to the end game, then that would be good. You will be surprised that there is no known active pharmaceutical ingredient that is manufactured in this country, not one. Not one, not even the Panadol you take.
Only recently, the NAFDAC DG raised an alarm about, drug insecurity, the fact that almost all our active ingredients are imported from China,
yes.
and how our system could be unstable as a result of that, considering what was happening in China. And she said that she had to bring that out so that pharmacists could put their heads together, and drug manufacturing companies could put their heads together and see what they could come up with. Did you see that particular statement?
Yeah. I actually saw her on TV when she made that statement, and it is a fact that we don't have one single bulk synthesis laboratory in the whole country. Unfortunately, it is not something the pharmacists that can do on their own. You need a lot of chemists. You need synthetic laboratories. You need a very vibrant petrochemical industry. All these things come together to be able to make one active pharmaceutical ingredient. But what we do from my group, that we use natural products. We do a dual track. While we are isolating the pure compound, we're also mindful of the fact that the pure compound may not be as active as a crude, non-isolated compound. So we do a dual track. And those ones that we can do, we have them already in the market. Then the ones that are actually pure compounds have to be a pharmaceutical ingredient. It is also not surprising, for example, that the areas that we have pain, people are not interested in them. So we must be the ones doing it. Our company, for example, is the only drug group that has anything for sickle cell anemia in the whole country. Why is that so? Because this is a disease that affects Africans. I don't think that people from Europe will be interested in doing research on sickle cell. They do that for academic purposes, but they will not be interested in developing a product to the marketplace because it's not something that really bothers them. And that is actually what the DG was actually trying to get us focused on. Because it is really a shame that we can buy raw materials, active pharmaceutical ingredients from India, from Pakistan, from all sorts of countries, but we don't have one single such plant in the country.
So what sort of interest then has the Nigerian government been showing? Because I'm reading here from Ogbonnaya Onu that they're very interested. I also understand that the Minister of State for Health, Dr. Olorunimbe Mamora, also say that they're going to support. They're promising aid for your effort to find a cure. What do you seem that all of it has been lip service?
No. The way government works, they have to have some budget in it. Actually, rather than government, it's the private sector that we are hoping that will move in. For example, last week, our facility in Imo State was vandalized. If we had waited for...
That's your company?
Yeah, our company facility. What happened, somebody broke in there, somebody who knew what he was doing because the power system was actually tampered with. What they call it, the wiring system, and so on. And then the automatic power system, which you normally use whenever NEPA goes, or not, I keep calling NEPA, whenever the power system goes off.
It's fine. We understand what you're saying.
Yeah, we then go on to our generator. But what happened that it actually needed a private sector intervention. Somebody who read it said, came quickly and said, what do you need? We didn't talk about the amount cables and all that. And then they gave him the actual cost and all that. So sometimes not only government alone. We tried that in 2014, 2015. We had a lot of help from outsiders when we were developing the product for Ebola. Ebola came and then was gone. And then nobody had interest any longer in that. So that we had to actually depend more on the private sector. Private sector is more sustainable than the government. The government projects don't normally lead to products all over the world. What government do is to be able to give you support to do the discovery, and the actual drug development, if we pass this phase, the private sector will take it up because it will be a mega dollar project in the sense that it is a broad spectrum antiviral agent. Viruses are difficult to handle. And so many people will want something like that, they will be able to test. So we are looking forward to government. The kind of help we want from government we are getting, namely that support, that moral support, is actually very useful. You don't know what it means that the Minister of Health was the one who came out openly to tell the world that no, what Prosecutor said was that we're on the road, there's a work in progress, that they don't have a cure. That kind of endorsement, that kind of support is really very crucial for the kind of thing we are doing.
Mm. So you have talked about how private sector support is what you're looking at. The former the current DG of NAFDAC also said that, because you said something about herbs, you're talking about natural plants,
yes.
And she said that it looks like we have a whole, not a market now, but that there's huge potential in that particular sector. And that's where NAFDAC is looking to, and that's where she believes the ministry also is looking to, the herbal sector.
Yes.
As one who's doing some research with a lot of plants, I want to believe that's what you're doing. Yes. What potential do you think that particular sector, the herbal sector, holds for medicine and practice of pharmacology in the country?
Yes, I think that's the way to go for several reasons. One is that we've been on this magic bullets thing with the pharmaceutical agents. It's not really working out the way we thought. So we have looked back and then look at what we have, to use what we have to be able to solve the problem we have on hand. The natural product angle, not herbal medicine per se, these are drugs. It just happened that they're from plants. That is an angle that we can compete with the rest of the world. We have over 22 different formulations that we make in our group. That does not mean that we're not interested in the pharmaceuticals. We have a company called NIMET. NIMET handles the issue of pharmaceutical product, but the natural product is the way to go. Because we also learned that diseases are very complex. You don't now treat something like high blood pressure with people who are on it. They will tell you after a while that particular drug doesn't work any longer. You don't treat things like that, like blood sugar, high blood sugar with a pill only, because lifestyle modifications become useful. So we then have a situation that we now think that based on the plans that we have, based on what we can do in the country, that we have an advantage over other countries in terms of our huge cultural setup. We have over 300 different tribes. Each one has its own little secrets. If we can harness all this together, it gives us a very big jump in terms of treatment of these diseases. Much more importantly, the rest of the world also are thinking that natural products are better ways to go. It's billion-dollar business, and people are actually tapping into it.
Well, Professor, we certainly wish you all the best as you continue your research, and we hope that more than being on the way, that we'll actually get the cure to the diseases, to one of the diseases ravaging the world. Thank you so much for coming on Sunrise Elite this morning.
Thank you.
Professor Maurice Iwu is a professor of pharmacognosy and also the CEO of Bioresources Institute of Nigeria. He was the former chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission. Sunrise Daily will continue in a moment. Please stay with us.
Let's take a look at your comments now. Ayodele Olutoye sends a message about curbing COVID-19, and he says, on the outbreak of COVID-19, I'm worried about the corpers resuming to camp for 2020 batches. There should be an emergency plan or measure put in place before now by the NYSC to either postpone or engage the PCM in another form of orientation in their localities.
That's a very good point. Yeah, and this next one from Lord Lugard 001. No more using feather and ink, I'm using Twitter. And it's on ASU Strike. It says, a leader takes people where they want to go. A great leader takes people where they don't want to go, but ought to be. So where is FG and ASU taking Nigerian universities to? Big question. 3 options: where they want to go, where they don't want to go, or where they ought to be. Big one there.
Well, still on ASU Strike, Lekon Rotimi too says, it's very sad that university dons and people who champion advocacy for transparency are the ones kicking against. IPPIS will definitely reveal falsification of personnel cost across our universities.
And this one is from Abdul Salam Yusuf, who's talking about Sanusi's dethronement, says, the dethronement is okay, but the banishment violates the fundamental human right of an intelligent citizen of this great nation. The ancient laws need urgent review, or else we'll be going back to the Stone Age in 2020. On the program this morning, thank you so much for sending in your comments, your questions. They're all very welcome. I think the last comment of the AGF, though, I found rather curious and rather interesting, that the Kano State government said they said nothing about banishment. So where did it come from? But hey, I think it's matters that will keep going on as the days progress. Thank you so much for watching this morning. I'm Maokwe Ogun Yusuf.
Yes, indeed. We'll have to go and listen again. I'm sure what we heard from the Attorney General. Thank you for watching as well. I'm Chamberlain Osor. I'm
Kaido Kikoli. If you want to watch again, you can do that on YouTube.
Yep.
Channels Television.
And I'm Ayo Makinde. Have a wonderful day.